focus your will and create what you see in your mind. Now you try. The ring's limits are only what you can imagine.
Some people hold the opinion that we're not truly in an economic recession until somebody important says we're in an economic recession.
I mean, you could think of it that way, especially since
how important do you have to be to make that call? That's
pretty important. Pretty important. I tried saying it on my Facebook page the other day. It didn't work.
I declare bankruptcy!
If I could hop in on the regulation piece, I personally think that lowering regulations will be the thing that will save the economy, even will buffer us against some of the initial negative backlash that will happen with the tariffs in place. I thought it was interesting, Troy, that you mentioned that it was the small businesses that were the ones complaining about regulations. That is true across the board. Regulations hurt small businesses. Regulations actually help large businesses. So the amount of regulations and also increased taxes that we've had in this country have basically made massive near monopolies, massive corporations that make it really difficult for small corporations and small businesses to compete and get a leg up, because once you are the established massive corporation, you have all the lawyers, you have the ability to hire people to meet regulations. And those large businesses, they actually like regulation. A lot of times they lobby for more regulation. The new companies rising up the ranks, they literally do not have the time or the resources to meet all of the regulations.
So I watched an interview from Goldman Sachs CEO earlier this week. His name is David Solomon. And one of the things that he talked about was that he had just gotten out of a businessman roundtable with Trump, where Trump literally, I watched part of it where Trump sits in front of like hundreds of corporation CEOs and business owners and essentially addresses them and says, hey, here's what we're trying to do. Here's what we're trying to do to fix the economy. Here's the things you can expect from us.
A lot of investment coming into our country, much more than I've ever seen. Apple is investing $500 billion. We have car companies that are built in Mexico, owned by China. That's all stopped now. They're all coming here.
And one of the things he said, we never got anything like this in Biden's administration. Like, we never had any communication. We didn't know what to expect next. And he's like, Trump is actually trying to help the economy. He's trying to help the American businesses. He was saying it's not just the major corporations and it's not just the largest businesses. But he said Goldman Sachs actually recently did a survey on small businessmen where I think they surveyed 10,000 small business owners. And these are people who he said, like, the $500 in a month is a difference for them. So they're small business owners, right?
When you think about regulatory issues and the burden it places on small businesses, for these small businesses, very big issue.
There was 63% of them said deregulation would help our business, and the overregulation and the red tape currently is stopping us from being productive. And this is the smallest business owners, like these are the small business owners, not the large corporations.
65% of all the new jobs in the United States come from small businesses. Our ability to uplift these small businesses to really help drive the economy is super important to all of us.
But that's my thought on it, is what are the business leaders saying? And one of the things that he said specifically is he said, as businessmen, the business people, we understand what Trump is trying to do. That's what he said. Yeah. We understand what Trump is trying to do with the tariffs. He said, I don't like the direct results, the immediate direct results of everything that happens after you start slapping tariffs. But he said, but we understand what he's trying to do in the long term. And so to me, I'm like, okay, I'm going to take some, solace in that. That's going to console me a little bit, because maybe I don't fully understand what he's trying to do, but it's like, that's the person I'm going to ask and say, do you understand what he's trying to do?
I think that we are very potentially going to have some type of recession, because it's going to be part of that pain of pulling the Band-Aid off. But I think that Trump has been doing so many different things. Well, Trump and his administration has been doing so many things kind of more under the radar that are going to just like ease that pain a little bit.
When there's change, there's uncertainty. It takes a while for people to absorb and adopt, but I continue to be incredibly optimistic about the United States. We have an incredibly nimble and versatile economy, and I'm sure we'll make progress and move forward.